My name is Sanjeev Pandya. I'm the Executive Vice President for Business Development at Advanced Oncotherapy, and I'm based in our London office. So essentially I was fortunate today to be invited to the Precision Engineer Society over in Eindhoven in Holland, looking at new ways in which precision engineering is benefiting the world and benefiting mankind. And the company I work for is a company called Advanced Oncotherapy. We're in the process of developing a new type of radiotherapy machine to treat cancer, to treat adults with cancer and to treat children with cancer. It's a linear accelerator, so an accelerator in a straight line which accelerates protons, which are a type of particle, up to required energies necessary to kill cancer cells. And that's the basis of our company. I mean, there are at the moment, if you compare to the types of radiotherapy machine, there's roughly around 15 to 20,000 traditional X-ray radiotherapy machines. You compare that to proton therapy machines, there's roughly about 55 in the world, so a fraction of the number of machines that are on X-rays. And the problem is that these machines that do exist, these existing proton machines, are what I would like to think of as legacy machines. So based on older technologies, based on cyclotronic technologies. So a cyclotron accelerates the proton in a sort of circular way, and because of the type of acceleration and the way that it's done, these machines are big. They're big. They can't necessarily fit in the center of a city. They couldn't fit into, say, for example, the center of Amsterdam or London or Paris. And for that reason, there are very few of these in the world. As you correctly said at the beginning, the majority are in the States, there's some in Japan, and there's a smattering of these accelerators in Europe, but there's not many of them, correct. Because not only is it a linear accelerator, it has a smaller footprint, but as well as that, the type of accelerator that we have allows us to move the radiotherapy beam rapidly during the treatment cycle. So say, for example, a patient has lung cancer and the lung moves up and down during the course of respiration, during the course of breathing. This machine, because of its imaging and because it's a linear accelerator, you can accurately follow exactly where the tumor is hitting cancer cells and leaving the healthy tissue around the cancer cells spared, so you don't get the side effects and you get effective tumor killing. When will they be out there regularly? I mean, I think, look, as I said, if you look at the market, say, 3 to 5 years ago, no one had even heard of proton therapy, and everyone was even the sort of leading oncologists, the leading radiologists were very much against having proton therapy. They said, look, it's too expensive and we don't know whether it works. Now, the argument is that people say, look, it definitely works, it's definitely the right thing to have, it's just too expensive. And the purpose of what we're trying to do is to try and bring down the cost of these machines. When will they become commonplace? We expect to have our first machine out there in the market sort of mid-2018, end 2018. But after that, the growth of machines, there's 50 in the world today. Market estimates, these aren't our estimates, these are external estimates that are about 70 in 2 years' time, and then essentially an exponential growth thereafter. So quite common. In the next three to 4 years, they'll be commonplace, really. At the end of the day, investors are in the business and they have to demonstrate returns for the people who invest in them. So they need to make sure that if they do invest, that they will get a return within a required time frame. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of the world's businesses are focused on when these things become economically profitable. I think from my own background, I was a clinician, I was a surgeon for many years, and whilst on my business hat, I clearly want to make this business successful and for it to become profitable. At the end of the day, my heart originally is still in medicine, in clinical medicine, and I've worked in cancer surgery in the past before, and I think being able to be part of a team that develops a machine which is economically affordable, but at the same time attacks and cures cancer, particularly cancer in children, I think it's something I'd be very proud to be part of. So technology, I think, with healthcare, technology is getting increasingly important. I think particularly in the line of imaging or in radiotherapy. If you look at the progress, let's just take imaging, for example, that software, advances in computers, advances in precision engineering that's happened over the last sort of 5 to 7 years, the images you get from the current systems is really, really quite remarkable. It's almost as if someone has taken a knife and cut straight through the body, and you've taken a photograph. They're that good. They are good 2D images, and they are good 3D images, and so much so some of the latest software algorithms allow one to almost take the organ, say take the heart, and almost spin it. You can see from various angles what the heart looks like and where you need to do your surgery. So before you even go into the body, you have a very, very accurate picture of what that person's anatomy looks like. Technology changes the world, and I think in no better area than in medicine. You know, the advances we've had even in the last sort of 20 years, from drugs to sort of imaging to even the tools, the surgical tools, is just remarkable. And I think it will just get better and better as time progresses. I think, look, doctors are, and I can say this, I'm a clinician or was a clinician myself, I think they are cynics. They do take a long time to change established treatments. If they've done something for 20 years and their professor taught them to do that same thing for 20 years, for them to then say, I'm not going to do that thing, I'm going to do something completely different, it takes quite a leap of faith. But I think once there is a clear demonstration that the technologies or new technologies work, they are successful, they're more economically viable, and ultimately that they do cure more patients, then I think the uptake is very, very rapid thereafter. I think the key thing when you're working with different partners, I think it's first of all to recognize the expertise that any particular individual has. So, or any individual company, a certain company may be an expertise in in X or Y, to recognize that. But then also when they come together collaboratively as a team, to make sure that they are all going in the same direction. Because I experience it from our own company, where you have physicists wanting to do physics things, you have the commercial guys wanting to do commercial things, you have the finance guy not wanting to spend any money. So you have this almost a conflict of interest, and it's about making each of the players understand each other's rationale, or raison d'etre is the way that you make things successful in the end. Yeah, I think they are. I think particularly, I think it's a cultural change of the way people have worked over the last, say, 30 to 50 years. You imagine that 50 years ago, if you were the office guy and you had a job of, doing your job, for example, and that's all you were able to do, and you do that for the next 30 years of your life, and that would be it. I think the way that the world has changed, both in terms of opportunity, but also things like the internet. People now, internet and information sharing, people can find out about other tasks or roles, or understand what each other does much more easily than, say, 10 years ago. So it's a cultural change, it's an attitude change, and it's an information sharing change that I think allows people to work more effectively and collaborate more effectively together. For myself, I think to make any company successful, the key is to focus, is to go down, to not get distracted by the next exciting thing, or we're going to go and do this exciting thing or that exciting thing, until you've got one project done and taken it from A to B. I think focus is absolutely essential, and especially in a business such as ours.